Hey guys, I know it's been a while since we have looked in the garden, so we're going to take a look today. It's been a couple weeks actually, and so there's really a lot going on in the garden. I have a tomato that is blushing. I have some cauliflower that is making a nice sized head. Everything is just growing like crazy, so I can't wait to show you. Well, my rose finally bloomed. It's been a little while now. It's just about to finish the process of blooming, but look at all of these buds, and I have a couple different stalks that have several on them like that, so I can hardly wait. And I did go ahead and buy another rose, so we're getting ready to have a lot of roses. The beans have grown all the way to the top, and I have actually had to bend them down at about halfway and let them start again, so they're getting really big and they're getting blooms all over them. And actually, one of them had a bean on it the other day, and I literally just ate it straight off the vine, just because what are you going to do with one bean? The cucumbers are starting to get cucumbers. The cucumber plants are starting to get cucumbers. These beans are getting, the soybeans are starting to get little bean pods all over it. You can see some of these cucumbers a little bit better from the other side, but there's another one on that. Again, the pole beans, Blue Lake pole beans, are growing like crazy. Some of the flowers, you all know I don't do flowers well. Some of the flowers are not doing great. I came out the other day and trimmed the onions. I'll try to squeeze that little video in and show you what I done. Got more cucumbers over here. So I've got the SMR cucumbers. I have the silver slicer cucumbers and one more national pickling cucumber. So I have 3 different kinds of cucumbers, and I think all of them have at least one baby cucumber on them right now. The potatoes were growing so much that I had to put more straw on top to build it up. Some of these are determinate, so they'll only grow one layer anyway. And some of them are indeterminates, so they will grow more than one layer as I add mulch or straw or whatever, and I'm just using straw. This is kind of an experiment. This is the first time I've done potatoes like this. And I have these labeled wrong. These are not Brussels sprouts. That's a cauliflower. These are the cauliflower plants, the first few. This is the biggest one that I've got over here. It does not have anything in it yet. The Brussels sprouts do not have anything on them yet. Some of them are getting eat up pretty good, so I sprinkled a little bit of diatomaceous earth on them yesterday. The peppers are doing phenomenal. Almost all of them have something on them, and look at the size of this one. I should probably go ahead and pluck that one off to encourage it to grow more. This one's starting to get some little baby ones on it now. This one has several. This one has several. I'll probably come out and go ahead and harvest some of these after I complete this video. This one has some. That one has some. Some of them are supposed to turn red before you harvest them, and I'm probably going to need to make sure I'm not harvesting them too soon. That's a zinnia that I've got growing right there. This is my Casper pumpkin plant that I've got. I was starting to think that it was not going to germinate, but it finally did. Here's another poblano. It's getting good size. The long, thin cayennes. Some more soybeans. I think that's the habanada or the nata pino, I'm not sure. The lesia. These plants are very small and I'm not sure why. And I definitely did not put them out too early this year. I made sure of it. Long, thin cayenne, habanada, another lesia. Now this here is some tender sweet orange watermelon, and I'm really excited about this, and I pray and pray that this one makes it to maturity. I have 3 of them planted right there in that little hill. This is a Kajari melon. This is another watermelon, and that's one of those that I've lost the label to, so I don't know what kind of melon. This is another decoy. This is the Blue Hubbard squash to help keep the squash bugs away from the plants that I'm going to eat. This is some kind of cherry tomato, it looks like. There's a tomato growing down there. That's one of the ones I didn't have a label for, and so is this one beside of it. This is my tatsoi greens. One of the plants have gone to seed, and so I'm just going to let it, and I'm going to save seeds from this. And the way that you save seeds from the tatsoi is it will get some little pods on it, and the seeds will be in the pods. This vintage wine has several tomatoes. The German Queen has several. I don't see any on the pink brandy wine. I don't see any on the pink brandy wine. That's the Roma. I don't see any on this one either. That is the other paste tomato that I've got, the San Marzano. There's some little cherry tomatoes on this one. I've lost the label to that one. Don't see any on that one just yet. And I'm going to save the best for last with the tomatoes here in the garden, because I have one that's blushing that I'm excited to show you. I do see one over in there. And the label for that one's on the other side. I can't see it. This one has a couple on it. That's the Hungarian heart. That is also a paste tomato. Here's another one that I've lost the label to. But I do have some of these written down in the house. All of these on the back 2 rows I have written down in the house. This one has several. Very exciting. Another cherry tomato. This one has some. This cherry tomato has some. Whew, this one has several. Look at that. Wow. Exciting. Same thing here. Look at this. Wow. That's a multitude of tomatoes right there. Dr. Witchy's, I don't see any on it. And I could have swore that one had a tomato. Maybe not. There's one on this one. This one's already getting pretty good size. See how big that one's getting already? That's the mortgage lifter. I'm excited to try that one this year. This is the Cherokee Rose. Man, this thing is so bushy. It is full of leaves. It has some flowering on it, but I don't see any tomatoes. And finally, There's one that is starting to blush, and the one beside of it too. This is the Campari. This will be the first year I've grown this one. It's not quite soft enough yet, but it is softer than it has been. So I'm so excited to be able to try that. That'll be the first tomato this year. Those are the potatoes that I have out here in the in-ground garden. They're just in a pot beside the garden. I do have a label in that one, but I can't think of what they are right now. And I'm trying to do a quick little video so it won't be too long. And I was able to get my other planter box finished, and I did buy another rose to go in that. So I've got to get that in place and my little arch going between the two, so I'm excited about that. So really, overall, the garden is looking very well, and I am very pleased and excited about getting some things that will be harvested soon. The mustard greens are going to seed. I should have harvested those over a week ago and did not. The celery is doing really well. This Brussels sprout does not get as much sun as some of the other things, so I've covered it up with an insect cloth, trying to keep the cabbage moths off of that, to see if I can get some Brussels sprouts. These potatoes over here are doing great. These are the ones that I planted in the bag. I have two of those. These are the Adirondack Blues, and those are the Kennebecks, I believe. So now let's go out here to the extra lot, and we'll see what is out here. And I have been busy out here too. So I finally started the process of planting the grapes. So I've got a spot dug. Now I just need to dig the hole a little bit bigger and get those in there. This is the pot that has the potato plant. I think it has two actually in it. And the tomato. The tomato is a watermelon beefsteak, and it has several on it. So it's looking good. This is the bean that seems to have stopped growing, and it may need a little bit of fertilizer. I'll put a little something in that and see if I can get it to take off again. There's the other grape. That's the green seedless grapes. And this, whenever it decides to bloom, it's taking its sweet time. There's a bunch of buds on it though. When it finally blooms, that is going to be the purple coneflower, also known as echinacea. And this, I believe, is going to be the star of the show this year, you all. This is the black strawberry plant, and it has some cherry tomatoes on it. That's what these are. They're cherry tomatoes. Let me see if I can find one. Finding it is not the problem. Getting the leaves out of the way so that I can get a good picture of it is. Look how shiny that is and beautiful. It's already got black on the shoulders. That thing is going to be so beautiful. I can hardly wait. There's a couple more over here that's getting black on their shoulders. See how pretty those are? Wherever the sun touches those is what turns black. So that's why it's always on the shoulders. That purple kale is really getting busy, finally. The melons are really starting to go up the trellis now. Melons don't naturally go up the trellis very well. They will grab on somewhat, but I usually have to help train them go the direction that I want them to. But I have seen a couple baby melons, and I can't tell if they're getting pollinated or not. There's been a couple that have fell off. So I thought about coming out and hand pollinating some, but I've not really had the opportunity to do any of that yet. But They are finally getting some female flowers. The sunflowers are getting big. They should be blooming soon. This is the rose bush that was here when I moved here. It's starting to get some blooms on it. I trimmed it way back, but the roses on it are so pretty. Look at that. And the smell, you can smell them before you even get over here to them. Got another tomato over here. Sometimes all of the green on the camera kind of blends in together, so that's the tomato there. See what I mean about. And there's some okra. That's a big old bucket of potatoes that I've got going. And this thing is starting to bloom again, finally. This is my dahlia. The blooms on it are just gorgeous. There's like 3 or 4 of them really close together there. These flowers are starting to have some leaves and things to fall off of it. I do not know why. I may need to fertilize it a little bit. The sweet potatoes have gone crazy, just really spilling over out of the bucket. The blueberry bush is doing great. I would imagine I'll probably need to get some kind of netting over that soon to keep the birds from eating them. This thing here, I'm really excited to show you. I'm going to set the camera down to show you this. So this is my cauliflower. And let me show you how big it is. Look, isn't that gorgeous? And I usually just take the leaves and pull them together with a rubber band to keep the sun off of that beautiful white cauliflower. Try not to damage the leaves when I do it. That's not going to do it. I have to incorporate one more leaf. There we go. That will be ready to harvest before long, and I've been keeping it covered up with an insect cloth as well. The zucchini is starting to come over and encroach on it now. Zucchini loves to take over, and it loves to take over very quickly. And this melon is starting to go up the trellis a little bit. And those flowers are not doing well either. I'm about to give up on the flowers, y'all. Last year, I swear this bed was so full of zinnias. If I think about it, I'll put a little excerpt in here of the zinnias that were right here in this bed last year. I mean, full. But man, I'm telling you what, look at this. Sunflower, you guys. The Russian mammoth. It is huge. Look at that stalk. I'm going to wrap my hand around it. It is so big. And it will be blooming soon. Finally have some little baby, what are those called? Canada crookneck squash. It's like a butternut. So it's doing great. And that thing will probably fill up this trellis. And there on the end is a tomato. That thing is getting huge. It's got tomatoes on it. I believe that's a German Johnson or a German Queen. Let's see. That's a German Johnson. That was one of my favorites last year. I'm excited about that one. I need to get some of these going back on the trellis. Get up there now. These are some little cherry tomatoes here. I don't know what kind these are, but they are starting to get a lot of tomatoes on those. And I believe this sunflower is shading it, but sunflowers are typically kind of short-lived in comparison to tomatoes anyway, so it'll be gone before long. I did snip off a couple leaves to kind of help it out a little bit. Melon going up the trellis over on this side. Another tomato, that's a watermelon beefsteak. It has several tomatoes on it. There's another watermelon beefsteak beside of it, so. And let's see if we've got any fruit on this zucchini. No, not yet. It should have some pretty soon. And I'm telling you what, that raspberry bush has just gone crazy. The marigolds are finally getting a couple blooms on them. The purple grapes are starting to grow a little bit. I have put some diatomaceous earth on several things out here. As you can see, the bugs were really getting to them. So I have really put it to several of them. That's the Brad's Atomic Grape tomato right there. It's still pretty small, but compared to what it was, it's really growing. This is a pumpkin here, and you can see it's got a little pumpkin on it. It was going up the trellis, but I put some diatomaceous earth on it and wanted to cover it up for a little while. Same thing here. I put a little bit of diatomaceous earth on this too. Well, actually just around this one. But it does not have very many blooms on it. It's a melon, watermelon of some sort. These melons over here are starting to take shape a little bit. And of course the decoy is doing great. That's another one of the decoys that the squash bugs are supposed to go after, so we shall see. Oh, look at that one. That one's coming out of the pot. Isn't that cute? And that one's starting to come out of the pot. One of those is a Kajari melon, and this one is some kind of watermelon. And I'm sad to say that my apple trees have cedar rust on the leaves. And that's not good because they're getting some apples on them, which I think most people pluck those off the first year anyway. But it's still sad. See all those spots? That is called cedar rust spot or something like that. It's from cedar though. Both trees have it. So I'm going to have to get a fungicide and treat those. Anyway, that was kind of a quick tour, but hopefully it caught everybody up so you could see what's going on in the garden. So I hope to see you all in a week or two, depending on what happens in the garden. So you all have a great night. God bless you.